Welcome back, everybody, to In the Loop. What's up, everybody? My name is Michael Burpo, and I'm joined by Evelyn Stetzer. In this week's episode of In the Loop, we're going to be making some predictions, and I love predictions, mainly because I think it's the epitome of putting your money where your mouth is, and I think it's really bold to really say where the industry or where business is heading, and that's exactly what we do this week. We make some bold predictions, and you can let us know if we're completely right or we got it completely wrong, and this can't possibly come back and bite us in the butt. But this week's episode is brought to you by Punchmark, the jewelry industry's leading website provider. Join the community of nearly 500 other jewelry stores in choosing Punchmark's easy-to-run and e-commerce-enabled website platform by visiting punchmark.com for your free trial demo. And this episode is brought to you by the Smithy Group, a digital growth agency that helps leaders and businesses dream bigger and achieve multi-generational integrity. Through insights and intelligence, digital marketing, and advertising solutions, they help businesses expand their business and grow their revenue. The Smithy Group has helped hundreds of businesses surpass their goals and believe that whatever your business and whatever your story, they'll make it matter to your audience. A very special thank you goes out to the Edge point of sale system for sponsoring this week's episode, and you'll hear more about them later on the show. Thanks and enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. Again, joined by Evelyn. How are you doing, Evelyn?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
Doing very well. So we were talking about making some predictions. And again, want to lead in with this and make sure that everybody we make it abundantly clear. I don't know if any of this stuff is going to actually happen. For anybody curious, today's date is June 3rd, 2021. So I'm thinking maybe in a year when we're still doing In the Loop, and in 5 years, if we're still doing In the Loop, we can look back on these, see if we were right, see if we were wrong. And I think it takes like a certain amount of confidence and transparency to actually speak your prediction into the air and make sure that it gets recorded and see where it ends up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I mentioned this on the last episode, but we're on the ground, the Smithy Group and Punchmark, with tons of different retailers in North America. So hopefully these trends, they're kind of on point from what we've said in our prep. I feel like they might come true. So I'm feeling pretty confident about them. Again, things are subject to change, but it'd definitely be good to have this conversation.
So the reason why I want to kind of have this sort of conversation is because I listen to a podcast. It's called Pivot. It's with Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher, and they talk about tech and business. And Scott is very well known for making predictions, and a lot of them do come true, and a lot of them don't. And one thing he notoriously called was Amazon purchased Whole Foods, and he called it like 3 weeks ahead of time, which was a huge coup and, was important. And he got wrong. For example, Tesla, he thought it was going to do poorly and it instead did really well. So I think that maybe we can make some predictions I'm going to make some about technology and also the jewelry industry and jewelry trends. And I think you'll make something around the similar.
Yeah, with social mostly.
Okay. Oh, even better. So we'll get your expertise and my lack thereof. So it'll be perfect. So maybe I'll even start this off. I predict that payments by crypto will double in the next 3 years. And the stat that I've looked at and I think is the most interesting is that 14% of the US population owns some type of cryptocurrency. And that is skyrocketing in recent months with the IPO of Coinbase. I think it's easier than ever to own cryptocurrency, and you're going to start seeing people purchasing online and in jewelry and pretty much all websites using these various types of cryptocurrencies. So that is going to be mine. I think it's going to be 3 years, and I think it's going to double where it's at right now, which is 14% to 28%.
Absolutely. We already saw some data last year about tap to pay cards coming out. So I think we're just moving in that direction where it's becoming more seamless and more technologically based.
Yes. One of the best things I've ever done is I have my credit card on my phone. I have it all saved into my wallet. Mm-hmm. And what's great about it is that if I ever lose my wallet, I would be able to keep making purchases using my phone. And I think that's a real travel, hack, I guess.
Yeah, my fiance does that. I mean, it raises the question of what happens if someone gets into your phone. But
yeah, that's not great.
But hey, the accessibility of that. I mean, here in New York, all of the subway swipes are starting to turn into tap to pay.
Oh, cool.
With your phone. So the convenience factor is sweeping the nation, I should say.
Yeah. So do you have any prediction?
So it's hard to navigate this topic, but something I think we'll see even more of, because of what we're currently seeing, is a rise in the popularity of laboratory-grown diamonds over natural diamonds.
Great that you brought this up. I love this topic.
Mike, I knew you would want to talk about this one. I was like, Mike, we got to hold off. Only because I understand the nuance of this discussion. I understand both sides. However, I'm just stating that there's an opportunity for education. There is a market for it. There is a curious consumer. So I think in the next 3 years, we're going to see the popularity of them rise. And again, it's just an opportunity. I'm using my words very carefully. An opportunity for retailers to take that stance either for or against, and provide a chance for people to make that decision in their store or not.
I think that in the end, what a lot of these predictions are hopefully doing is just allowing you to see where the puck is going. So again, you never skate to where it is, you skate to where it's going. And who knows? I think that, again, cryptocurrency or lab-grown diamonds, the puck is going more in that direction. So even if we're off by a little bit, I do think that's accurate. So Evelyn needs to be careful about what she says. I will as well. But I think that lab-grown diamonds, to me, they make a ton of sense. This is from me I don't know a ton about both sides. I just know that the way, from what I can see, environmental impact is definitely something that is important and weighs on me. I have a brother and my dad is a forester. And to me, it seems like just on that stance, it's a fantastic win, as well as the fact that it's economically a little bit more reasonable. But again, remember when we had our interviews with the ring buyers, like they both didn't get lab-grown diamonds, and when we asked them, they were like, nah, we just didn't even consider it. And I'm like, really? You didn't consider that? And I guess that's surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have retailers that we work with that would never have carried it, didn't even want to offer it, but then they have people coming in and just asking about it. Like, hey, do you offer this? And so just them saying like, no, we don't have it, they lost those sales. So they saw it as an advantage to say, yeah, we do. Let's educate you on the differences between them and let you make that choice instead of losing that business altogether just because the first answer was no. So that's just been a really interesting perspective we've seen a few of our retailers take.
And again, it kind of just goes to show when you diversify your inventory, I do think that no person, none of the ring buyers that we talked to, if they had gone into a store and they saw that you had lab-grown diamonds, but they were looking for a natural diamond, would have given their business elsewhere because you had that. But like you said, if someone came in looking for a lab-grown diamond and you don't have it, well, there you go. You're losing the sale. So I think it's important to have a consideration for both.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So mine is going to be, I think that the purchasing and value of sapphires in the jewelry industry is going to skyrocket in the next 3 years. And the reason why is because sapphires, or white sapphires in particular, are so much more, I don't want to say cost effective, but cost effective than a diamond. And the fact that they look nearly identical. And to me, that's the important aspect, is how, to the naked eye, again, no one has a loupe out here looking through it and making sure that it's a real diamond or it has any flaws or something like that. But the fact that sapphires, we just had a friend, my friend Tommy Rhodes, works at Punchmark. His friend just purchased I think a champagne sapphire, and they come in beautiful colors. They're a little bit more affordable. You can get a little bit more size for your dollar. I think that they make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. The alternative bridal. Yes. I love it. I mean, it's rebranding the lower clarity diamonds to be like salt and pepper, right? And making them desirable. I've seen a lot of that in the last few years. And I think that it's slowly becoming quickly becoming more popular, actually, I should say, especially from apps like TikTok, who are like, why settle for a normal diamond? And that's just the verbiage they use. And, have something that's very unique to you. That's becoming more popular.
Yeah. I think someone said, like, whoever rebranded, was it Le'Veon, them as chocolate diamonds? Brown
diamonds to chocolate, yeah.
I'm like, that's some, what is the guy from Mad Men, where he was like talking about cigarettes and he was like, they're crisp or something like that. Chocolate diamonds, they're just brown diamonds, but they're chocolate. And it's like, oh, that's so mind-bogglingly good.
Yes, that reminds me of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yes.
Frost yourself. You just completely change the marketing. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, I agree. So, Evelyn, do you have a prediction?
Okay, I'm going to go for the social one now. I'm predicting that single-use Instagrams are going to start breaking into multiple use Instagrams.
Can you explain a little bit more? Yeah.
Yes. So I've seen this on a personal level with a few friends I have, and especially in like millennial, Gen Z range of age, using Instagrams for different purposes because of the targeting. Because Facebook and Instagram are becoming so saturated with, your algorithm funnels you into one thing. Like once I started working in jewelry, I just see jewelry. So I have people who have created niche Instagrams in my life where like one's for travel exploration, one's for their dieting, one's for their dog, like so they can completely compartmentalize their life into different Instagrams. And this is like, I know this might sound wild and like a lot of work, but to them it's simpler. So whatever works for them.
Yeah.
But that's the personal level. So thinking about that and then thinking how that could apply to your store, breaking down engagement rings to just one Instagram, like bridal as a whole different arm, and then your fashion jewelry, and then maybe your services like your custom work, those three things being different Instagrams. Or I'm predicting that sales associates making their own Instagrams with their styling tips, with their lifestyle around the store becoming increasingly popular. We have one sales associate doing this for their store in Connecticut right now. And within the first week, she saw an uptick of like 10 to 20 custom designs come in through DMs on Instagram. Yes.
Wow. Through DMs. Oh my gosh. And it's so interesting to me though, because cost of making a new Instagram, free. And you can link them together. I've got currently on my phone, I'm logged into 3 different Instagram accounts. I'm in the Punchmark one, my personal one, and a art project that I'm an owner of. And again, it's free, but the fact that you can, again, lean into those algorithms and really just make it so that the only thing on that feed is, like you said, your dog, and then only dog lovers and only people who want to see your dogs are going to follow that and engage with that content, as opposed to casting like a really broad and not great net and have pictures of your food and then your dog and then your jewelry. It's a little bit less, I guess, focused, you might say.
Yeah, what I see as the most beneficial aspect, especially of the sales associate, is having that one-to-one connection, because they know who's behind the phone. They know who's posting.
Yeah.
It's that like using social media to be social thing that we talk about all the time is like,
yeah,
people want that immediacy. And what we saw for this specific sales associate is that there was already a market of people that wanted to contact her, wanted her directly to be working on their things. And once there was this funnel, it was just a light switch, like a whole funnel just opened right up where people had direct access to her. And she was posting on the store account too. It was just this separate thing, open that up for more like top of funnel opportunities for people to make sales with them.
Do you find that value that transfers to the sales representative, by them having more of a personality and again, becoming more personal and more an expert in their field? Do you think that will increase the value of sales associates and require you to, have to pay them more because of their Instagram following? If you have a sales associate and they happen to grow an Instagram following, like you said, into like let's say 100,000 followers, and they're making sales off of that. Does that make the sales representative more valuable to you, like warranting more pay?
This is the perfect question for our next interview with the small town jewelers, because it's a question of how do you structure your incentives on your team? Do you structure them based on the work that they do within the store, or do you structure it based on like the relationships they build around their job and how invested they are? I know that's like a lot of blurred lines between work and play and life, but if they're doing after hours work and clienteling on social media, that saying, hey, you can make commission on this is pretty incentivizing. So if they're making it work for your business, I would say find a way to reward that behavior and continue growing that funnel. But again, I'm not a small town jeweler owner. So
yeah,
we'll have to ask some people how they would structure that to reward that work.
I wonder what that would look like. Yeah, it's like, man, it's that clienteling that would happen off the clock. Again, it's not just DMing people. It's not just posting photos, but it's also liking other accounts and commenting and commenting back and all the things, all the best practices that you've mentioned. That's the kind of stuff I really think if you're going to start having a successful Instagram, at least to me, you need to be doing that not just during the hours of 9 to 5. You need to be doing that during peak hours as well.
Yes, that's so important, like from the social media perspective, because that one-to-one connection and that reaching out aspect, that usually makes or break a social media account. Like you have to be active on the account because Instagram will know if you're just posting things and then running away. Like we've had so many episodes about that. So that's why I'm predicting that this more intentional type of Instagram presence will be even more prevalent.
Intentional. I like that term. I think that does fit it. It's about intention as opposed to, again, being social and sharing your life. There's also some intention to it. So I think one of my predictions is going to be, I think that the number of tablet use is going to outstrip desktop use in 5 years. I think that the reason why is because of its, again, portability. I think that you're seeing a lot of people on the go and also in mobile offices, and having a desktop is increasingly cumbersome. I just went from work from home and now I'm back in the office, and I had to grab my iMac, take it out, my second monitor, schlep that whole thing into my car and then back into the office. When if your main piece of utility was just a tablet, whatever that means for you, iPad or, the Android equivalent, I think that process would have been so seamless and you would have been able to have the exact same experience from my office to my home and back. I think that you're starting to see it more in shopping, and you're starting to see it more, especially in beauty. Mm-hmm. But I do think that tablet use is going to outstrip desktop use in about 5 years.
That's a good one. All right on the back of that.
Yep.
So we've seen through COVID, a lot of people leave metropolitan areas and move to suburban counties.
So coming from a person in New York City, so she's on the ground, boots on the ground.
I'm on the ground. A lot of people have moved out of cities, metropolitan areas, into more suburban areas. That's a fact. So my prediction is that we're going to see a lot more cross-pollination between metropolitan ways of life and suburban ways of life. Like the expectations for marketing, I think, will shift. So people who have done print only in the past, like the expectation for digital is going to only increase. The expectation for e-commerce is only going to increase. And running toward the trends like we were talking about in the prep for this episode of like having your e-commerce setup is going to be extremely important, because that's just going to be the expectation as we see these two worlds start to blend even further.
I think one day very soon, there's going to be a book that's written about all the unexpected side effects of this pandemic. One of the items is going to be people, from cities going back to their small towns and their hometowns. I have one friend, this girl, Kaylee, we'll see if she listens. She was a Brooklynite, and then she moved back to my hometown in upstate New York. And she's working an agency job, so I'm sure that she's doing quite well. But what is really interesting is that she falls into this demographic that is rarely seen in small towns in upstate New York, which is someone between the ages of 22 and 32, single, no children, making New York City money.
Yep.
And what that means is that those people they're the kind of people that have the time and the free time to go to things like breweries and yoga in the park and all those activities. They have the money to be able to go spend local because they can choose to shop local. Because remember, not everybody has the financial capability to shop local, because it's no secret, it's really cheap to shop off Amazon as opposed to, getting your car, drive downtown and buy from a local store. It's usually even more expensive in a local store. But I think that with these people, you're going to see a huge shift into towns. Totally agree.
That was a perfect way of explaining exactly what I said.
I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't.
No, I loved it. No, it was helpful because I know what I said was probably kind of nuanced, but that explained the nuance of it. Like the expectations of those kinds of shoppers in different towns is going to accelerate. Like if businesses are going to have to evolve faster to meet that expectation that they've had from all the convenience of the city life or inconvenience of the city life that has made technology so important.
Do you think that when you say the quality of, again, print or digital in that area, do you think that quality is inherently because they've experienced, I guess you could say, high quality in like major metropolitan areas? Or do you think it's because of their inherent demographic and the fact that they are younger?
I would actually chalk this up to a touch points conversation, if that makes sense. Because to me, what I experience in New York is this contextual experience where like the subway ad I'm seeing, so that's print.
Yeah.
I also see it in social, and then I see it on a street sign. Like there's so many, like the quality I would say has a lot more to do with like the touch points and the omni-channel approach that they take to make it such a wide reaching campaign. I think that's what I mean is like businesses are going to have to open those new channels for people to see them because it's just so important to get people's eyes and their awareness in every single way possible.
Totally agree. I think that it's not easy and it doesn't happen overnight, but I think it's absolutely necessary, especially for the new demographics. Mm-hmm. So we'll be right back. We have a couple more predictions, but here's a word from our sponsor. Support for this week's episode comes from The Edge. The Edge is the jewelry industry's leading point-of-sale system, though you've probably already heard about how amazing they are. They're in the business to help independent jewelers succeed in an ever-evolving retail environment where technology plays a major role. Their promise to their clients is to never let them get caught in technological or functional time warp. The Edge develops their software on state-of-the-art technology and adds features and functionality in the best interest of their users. In the words of Edge founder Dick Abbott, our biggest reward is the success of our store owners. To learn more about the Edge point-of-sale system and all the ways that can accelerate your business approach into an omni-channel solution, visit theedgeforjewelers.com. Thanks, and back to the show. So, still making predictions. I've got one, and I think that TikTok is going to overtake Facebook proper, and so not Instagram. I think it's going to take over Facebook's ranking as far as social use and average daily users. And here's like a stat that I've got pulled up. Since September, this is literally Google stats about TikTok growth. And here's the one that I see from February 16th. It says, September 2018, TikTok usage among US adults has increased exponentially, doubling and reaching 14.3 million in just 6 months. In less than 18 months, the number of US adult TikTok users has grown 5.5 times. So 5.5x. And they also gained me about 2 weeks ago. So that's the real important stat. But I think it's just so easy to use. It's so fitting for the social use. Again, I don't even know what Facebook's used for, like besides like tracking me and making me mad at my, neighbor who I haven't met in a while, right? I don't know. Like besides that, I don't really know what it's for. But TikTok, it has like a very inherent use, which is I'm going to get away for 10 seconds to 3 minutes at a time, and I'm going to take a vacation from what is happening in front of me by using my phone.
Yes. Yeah, I have like a similar prediction, but a little bit different in nature, if I can put us to the test to see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, tweak it.
Because I feel like there are different audiences for TikTok and Facebook, right? So I'm actually predicting that for Facebook groups and Facebook, almost like messenger groups, are going to become way more popular. So like the nature of a Facebook page, I think, will change a lot to be more of like a messaging opportunity. Like I think messaging ads are going to make a rise.
Interesting.
Because people want that text feel, right? Where someone's like giving them a direct message, a direct coupon code, things like that. So I think it's going to become more personal in that way. Because I know people now that have like thousands of friends on Facebook, at least I do, from like middle school, high school, college, post, like it's just growing and nobody really remembers who they're friends with anymore.
Yeah.
So I think like it'll become more localized where people feel like they can meet new people. And I also want to predict that for Instagram, I think the nature of Instagram is going to change a lot because of how saturated it is for small business and for education. Again, I talked about the Finsta thing, but I think people are really going to get sick of the saturation. And I don't know about you, but I've saved so many posts that it's really hard for me to find anything. So if Instagram doesn't change to be a little bit more like Pinterest, where you can actually like find the things you save, I think people are going to start jumping ship or making new apps that help curate the things you want to buy, and like you're tracking your purchase discoveries and things like that, because people are just, for me, I'm oversaturated when I get onto Instagram, which is why I agree with you that I think TikTok will make a rise, because people go to TikTok to see people that they don't know.
Yeah.
Like social media is becoming a place where you make like ethical judgments, like what are people doing with their lives and how are they approaching this topic? Did they post about this? Did they not post about that? I think people are going to quickly become tired of that. And I love TikTok for that reason and Pinterest for that reason, because I think it's where you can discover and play and have fun and go back to laughing at dogs and things like that.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I guess I don't understand fully how to use it yet. And that almost excites me because it's like, you know how on Instagram, it's like this person who you might know is on Instagram now. And it's like, yo, I don't want to follow them right now. And whereas on TikTok, it's very much like go out and just enjoy these videos. And honestly, I don't follow any of my friends on TikTok because
Because no one needs to know you. You're anonymous.
I don't need to know that. Exactly.
I don't post anything on TikTok. I just watch things. This is a really interesting conversation. I'm excited to have the TikTok episode so much.
Yeah, I would love to just find out what my friend Gasper does because, I mean, he's successful, but I'm like, how do you personally use this app? Are you also getting away or do you see something more? Is there a depth to it? And also to hear how could jewelers use it? I mean, jewelry is so photogenic. It's like, how can you lean into that a little bit more?
Absolutely.
So I've got one more, well, two more. So I think that stores, not just jewelry stores, but I think stores in general are going to start going out of business more if they don't start leaning on digital presence. And this isn't supposed to be like a fear-mongering tactic or anything like that. And I've actually, back in 2019, I was actually leaning into this a little bit more. I kind of was always a little bit unsure and like kind of lost why more stores hadn't gone out of business because of their digital presence. But I guess, we hadn't seen the growth that we had as a result of the pandemic. But I really do think that this breath of fresh air, the roaring 20s is coming out as people start to get vaccinated and going out and living their lives. I think that that's going to keep some people on for a little bit longer. But then we're going to go right back to what we've always done, which is staying inside and being lazy schlubs looking at our phones. And I think that if you're not on their phones, then I don't know if you exist. And I think that we're going to see it more and more, whether that means the jewelry industry or just in general. But I think we're going to see, I don't want to say a mass die out, but like a lot more people are going to be closing down if they don't get on the ball.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of give an omen versus a prediction of like the innovate or die.
Yeah.
But there's so much data for this that even at TSG we've seen when it comes to like, if you don't iterate forward, you will become stagnant. If you don't take the leap to turn on e-commerce or to try social ads or use your social media in an effective way and apply some of the things we're talking about, we've just seen it time and time again, how your customers age out.
Yeah.
Like, you have to think about this from the perspective of like where your newest customers are. And if you're not building a relationship with them, the Gen Zers, the people next in line from them, if you're not building a relationship with them now, they won't know about you and therefore you won't have business. That's like the truest way to look at this and really piggybacks on what I said earlier about the metropolitan people moving to more suburban areas and the expectations for digital increasing. So I 100% agree with you. Like, I don't want to say innovate or die, but there has to be some level of investment in digital to have that storefront open. It's always on. It works for you, not against you. And we had a retailer talk to us about how they have 2 stores and they used to call the website like the third store.
Yes, that's a great idea. I took that from Ben also.
Yes. And it's so important because they started just looking at the eyeballs and the people walking in the store, and the foot traffic in the store was a fraction of how many people were on their site all day.
Yeah.
So in their mind, they're like, if we have 5,000 people hitting our website a week, that's the most foot traffic. That's where the most sales associates need to be, where the most assistance needs to be. Like, they had this complete perspective shift to digital. And I hope that encourages somebody today to say, like, let me go look at how many people are on my site. Let me update my site to be the best experience, because that's your highest volume of foot traffic, most likely, without you even knowing about it.
Well, remember, we've talked about it ad nauseum. So just to high level, remember the customer journey, how most customers, or increasingly number of customers, are not just, hey, I should buy this thing, walk into the store and buy it. We heard that with Kevin, but a lot of people aren't like that. It includes, multiple touch points with shopping, looking online, browsing online on Pinterest and a couple of other places, talking to friends, hearing their suggestions. And think about, again, we just established that so many people are moving back to smaller towns. See that as an opportunity. And where are you going to get the opportunity? You can't just stand outside and put up tons of billboards. boards. You need to go to where they are again. And that is just being present on the online and digital space and making yourself known so that when they are going back and they're like, oh, what is there to do around this town? I need to buy something for my girlfriend or person that's in my life. They think of you instead of something else.
Mm-hmm. On that note,
yeah,
here's one of my last predictions is I think that the willingness for people to buy virtually across country will increase. And I'm not just biasly saying...
Across country?
I'm not biasly saying that because I did buy a ring from Oklahoma from Florida. But I'm just saying if you create a really killer Zoom experience clientele process and you start investing a bit of money prospecting in different areas, there's a possibility that people would come travel for you or they would work with you from a distance.
I just had an idea. What if instead of, sometimes people are like, I'm going to become the next Blue Nile. And I'm like, well, that costs a lot of money. But what if you just picked a random city, small town, and you were like, you're in Oklahoma, say, but instead you picked one random place in Montana. I can't even think of a city in Montana, but you pick one in Montana and you're like, I'm going to dominate this area for jewelry. And you just do another, like an SEO campaign for that area. And
geofence the whole thing.
The whole thing. And you just dominate. And then people think that you're there, but you're not. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but just an idea. Someone do that and come back to us.
Run with the idea from what you predicted earlier about the sapphires and the salt and pepper diamonds,
Yeah.
If you crush that there's a very specific market for that. I'm thinking about some towns in like Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And the backpacking areas and people that love to go mountaineering. Like there's a huge market for that are tied to specific places because of the lifestyle that usually those rings go with. It's something more practical or something more earthy. And you can make those predictions and geotag, like you're saying, and geofence, around the area. Like, think about that. Like, you could make a market for your jewelry in more places than just your hometown. So local jewelers, find your niche and rock it cross country.
That's a great idea. I think I can't remember if it was Meg's or Miners North, but they were talking about how they were targeting the next town over too.
That's Todd.
Yeah, I think that is so dominant and so impressive because the thing is, say you order something from the next town over, it's going to get to you in probably 3 days or 4 days, whatever the time it takes to ship. But say you buy it from your town and they ship it to you, it's probably going to also take 3 to 4 days. And whether you buy it from across the coast, like you did with buying Oklahoma to Florida, probably 3 to 4 days, maybe even 5 days. But it's like the buying experience, it kind of gets washed out when it's online. And I think that that's a really cool opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So my last prediction, this is about In the Loupe. I predict, and I'm trying. In the Loupe is going to host some type of social gathering in the next calendar year. So in 2022, I'm hoping that we can find a way to host, whether that's a happy hour or some type of fun event attached to a jewelry trade show. And we'll be able to meet some of our listeners in person and maybe do a live show or something along those lines. But I'm going to speak it into existence so that people know I'm working on it and to hold me accountable if I don't do it.
Yes, I'm predicting many more seasons.
Many more seasons. That'll be exciting.
Love it.
Evelyn, anything that we missed before we wrap this up?
No, I'm just excited. I'm excited for where the industry's going. Something I wanted to include here, but I'm not exactly what my prediction is I'm really excited to see how trade shows change and the need for connection and what that looks like. I don't have any strong predictions because I think it's too soon, but I'm definitely really excited to see how people come back together safely and how we share ideas and how the industry sees its renaissance, I could say, and tries new things together.
We've seen change in every industry. From food, people who, again, Ben mentioned this in a different episode, but mentioned how this one place made amazing steaks and they never delivered because they were old school. And then now you can't dine in. Suddenly they deliver, and now they're going to continue to deliver. And I think that every industry has seen that change. I would love to see trade shows and just jewelry industry in general start to take the changes from this past year and start to run with it.
Yeah.
Whatever that means,
Integrating virtual or selling across country whatever that looks like.
I mean, like, why don't some of these shows have like personal buyers that you permanently FaceTime with as they walk around the floor, and they can go and be like, hey, is, I don't know, Viraggio at this show? Yeah, walk up to them. I want to have a virtual sit down with them.
Consultation, yep.
Consultation. You put the phone or the iPad right down and then allow them to go one-to-one. You still get the show experience, but you didn't get to travel for whatever reason.
Yeah, I would love to see like more follow-up too, like more of a community around trade shows and activating the education you got, or whatever that looks like, some follow-up events. I know JCK is doing JCK Pro, which is kind of cool because it's between the shows. So more elements like that where education can be ongoing and on demand.
It's really interesting, man. We're just coming up with great ideas all over the place. We got the geofencing one. We got the education follow-up from these trade shows. Hire us. Evelyn and Mike will come. We'll look at your stuff. We'll give you these ideas. We'll put you on TikTok. We'll get you 1 million buys. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, predictions. We're setting it right now.
Yeah. Maybe what I'll do is I'll come back through this. I'll come up with what the list of predictions is, and we'll post this on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Loupe podcast, I believe it is. If you just search In the Loupe, you'll find us.
We can't wait to see what you guys think, and if you agree with us or have some strong contesting opinions, which is fine. We'll take them.
This can't go badly. This can't go wrong. So
we're very careful with our words, Mike.
Yeah, as you can tell, I was very prepared. So Evelyn, thank you so much for your time. Very special thank you to the Edge Point of Sale for sponsoring this week's episode and really allowing us to enjoy ourselves as we talk. To Punchmark and the Smithy Group for making this whole thing happen. We'll talk to you next week Tuesday.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Have a good one.
Hey, thanks for listening. Leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, and remember to subscribe. It really helps us grow. Thank you so much. See you next week.